Yes, it's a pleasure to be here together with my friend François Delattre. We have behind us 2 months of the joint German-French presidencies. I must say it was a wonderful experience to do this together with my French friend. You know, for Germany and France, the cooperation is something that is part of our DNA. We do this on a daily basis. This is at the foundation of the European Union. But to bring this German-French cooperation here to the United Nations was something really special. To have 2 presidencies, joint presidencies with a 2-month program was something new. And we found surprisingly, I must say, surprising to a certain degree, a very positive echo because people were thinking about what German-French cooperation means, also looking back into the past and what message we are sending, and many found this also very inspiring. So it was a good experience. It was a good experience for the 2 of us. It was a good experience for our teams. I must say, from a German perspective of somebody who is here only for a limited period of time, was good also during our presidency in April to know that we have these joint presidencies, and I could always count on the advice of my French colleague. This German-French presidency was also part of our program of bringing a bit innovation to the Security Council. You have all witnessed the other innovations that we brought to the Security Council. We opened the curtains, brought more light and transparency in the Council. We tried to have more interaction. Actually, also today in the last meeting during the German presidency, we had interaction with Mr. Geir Pedersen, the envoy on Syria. We had many briefers from civil society. We brought a lot of women briefers. So we did bring, as we believe, together with our teams, a bit new dynamism into the Council. With regard to the program, we together presented what we wanted to do during the 2 months to you before we started, and I can say today that what we wanted to achieve, we achieved. There are many issues that we were working on together, and François will say a few things also what was accomplished during March. During April we had, during the opening days, we had both foreign ministers here, so they also, by being present over the turn of the month, they demonstrated the continuity. We had humanitarian issues. It's a German-French initiative there on the agenda. We had women, peace and security as maybe the main item on the agenda during the month of April, with regard to women in peacekeeping, with regard to sexual violence in conflict, with regard also to women participation. 1 year ahead of the 20th anniversary of 1325, we wanted member states to enter into commitments for the 20th anniversary to be a success. We had the multidimensional definition of peace and security and prevention with human rights. We had for the first time the new Commissioner for Human Rights, Michelle Bachelet, brief the Council. We had a briefing by Filippo Grandi, the High Commissioner for Refugees. We brought the issue of climate and security and water and security yesterday to the Council with civil society representatives from EcoPeace in the Middle East. Disarmament has been on the agenda with regard to a German-French initiative with regard to small arms and light weapons in the Balkans, where we have a German-French program, and we presented this here also to encourage this for other regions. And we had a first meeting on nuclear non-proliferation, a briefing to support the implementation of the NPT ahead of the review conference. So again, for us, this was an experience, and after these 2 months, we are very happy, but at the same time, we are also very happy that there are no more meetings scheduled. So thanks very much, François.
Bonjour à tous. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for taking the time. I can only agree with each and every word that my colleague and friend Christoph said, and you can feel that the personal chemistry and equation of our friendship really played a role, I believe, in the success of our joint twin, as we say, presidency. These two joint presidencies represented an important and actually unprecedented opportunity to highlight the French-German cooperation here at the UN, to give it a boost, so to speak, to promote a stronger European voice as well as European core values here in the world of the UN, number two. And number three, to show our strong support to multilateralism as embodied by the UN at a time where it's both more threatened and more important than ever. I believe this is what the Franco-German, German-French twin presidencies are all about in a nutshell. I believe, quite frankly, that the joint presence of the French and German Ministers of Foreign Affairs, Jean-Yves Le Drian and Heiko Maas, during 4 days here in New York, was the high point of these twin presidencies. I would, like my dear friend Christoph, make a very positive assessment, une appréciation très positive of these 2 months, both in terms of our achievements, but also in terms of the partnership between our two countries. This is truly, in my views, the French-German partnership at its best. And I think our teams have also developed a friendship, an habit to work together night and day that is, again, unprecedented. In terms of the achievement, I believe we were able to fulfill together the main goals that we set up together. France and Germany, to give you just a few illustrations of these goals and achievements, worked and carried forward together very important topics in line with the European values I was referring to. Protection of humanitarian and medical personnel. It was a real breakthrough, I believe, in this respect. Respect for international and strengthening of international humanitarian law. Protection of women's rights, as you very well said. I believe our two presidencies will leave an important mark in this field. Secondly, during these 2 months, the Security Council adopted several important resolutions, many actually resolutions. Let me just mention among the most important in my mind the renewal of MONUSCO's mandate in the DRC. That was an important both negotiation and text. But also, let me underscore the importance of the first ever global resolution fighting the financing of terrorism, which is truly a landmark resolution in the fight against terrorism. It was adopted in March after a wonderful negotiation on top of it. We also had together an important focus on Mali and the Sahel region in March with a mission of the Security Council that we co-led together with our friend from Ivory Coast, Côte d'Ivoire. We had, in the follow-up of this important mission, a ministerial meeting here in New York, which allowed us, I believe, to have a better understanding, common understanding of the challenges, but also crucial exchange on the future of the international presence in the region of the Sahel, which is better identified now as a common priority for the Security Council, I believe. The European dimension that you underscored, Christoph, was also present with an important meeting on Ukraine, briefings to the Security Council from High Representative Federica Mogherini, and also the chairperson for the OSCE, our dear friend Miroslav Lajčák. We have brought, you also alluded to it, Christoph, some innovations to the work of the Security Council. For instance, because it's very dear to my heart, the informal meeting of the Council on the Middle East that we had in March, addressing cross-cutting trends and root causes of conflict and trying to build consensus on the importance of an enhanced regional cooperation in the Middle East. I believe in the importance of this meeting. This was behind closed doors because we wanted each and every country at the table to break out with their autopilot, which is really something I always want to achieve at the Council, and to work on convergences. And I think this meeting, again, behind closed doors, that's one of the reasons why it worked, can be an inspiration for the future. And at least we try to initiate here a virtuous cycle through which the key countries on the Middle East, instead of fighting with a polarized country, try to find and to build some convergences. Last but not least, I believe you said it, our joint presidencies are an act of faith for the UN, for multilateralism at a time where it is more needed than ever, but also under threat. Our two ministers of foreign affairs emphasized this point, in particular when they together came to New York a few weeks ago at the end of March and beginning of April. And this is the very spirit of the Alliance pour le Multilatéralisme, Alliance for Multilateralism, that our two ministers presented on this occasion. So, long story short, this is what I really wanted to tell you. I think these 2 months have been a unique experience, driven by a strong will of our political authorities, translated into close day-to-day trustful partnership between our two teams. I hope this is not the end of the story. I hope these joint presidencies, beyond being a unique experience, will inspire others to commit themselves, to partner together, and to do it while serving a stronger, more efficient, and also more creative multilateralism, because I believe that's what we need more than ever in today's world. Sorry, I was a bit long.
Ambassadors, I have a question on, first a quick planning note on the curtains. While I have no doubt it's lovely in the room, it doesn't look so good on television. So if we can reach a happy medium on the curtains, that'd be great. You said you're not expecting any more meetings. No request for a meeting on Venezuela. Are you expecting one?
Well, on the curtains, I've heard that for cameras it's difficult, but you are all, and those who work with cameras are fantastic technicians. I think that you will be able to manage. On the second one, we have we had no request for another meeting. I think that the situation in Venezuela, at least as I'm following it, is not where we can say which direction it goes. I'm sure that the Indonesian presidency takes over tomorrow will be open for such requests if they are warranted. Yes.
And on Syria, if I may ask, Mr. Pedersen talked about the necessity of international support to his mission and maybe to create a new platform or a new group. Does Germany and France believe that they can be part of such group? And do you both believe that it's now the time for creating such a platform?
No, just a few words. On Syria, we believe that there are two mistakes that we should avoid. Number one, to consider that the war is over and that Syria is kind of risk-free, this is not the case in our views, especially because of the situation in Idlib. And the second mistake would be to consider that there is nothing to be done, that the political process is too far away to succeed. We think that would be two strategic mistakes at this critical juncture of the situation in Syria to make. That's why we strongly, and I think I can say the whole Security Council, by the way, strongly supports Geir Pedersen's efforts to move forward in terms of the implementation of all the elements of the 2254. I think this is the important point. So the Constitutional Committee, indeed, and he explained to us publicly where he was in this respect after some good work that he made. And we believe that an agreement on the Constitutional Committee is not mission impossible. It's doable with efforts. We also believe that we need to work on the other key aspects of the 2254, like confidence-building measures with respect to the detainees, for example, and others, with respect to the ceasefire, which is, as I said publicly, a condition for everything, condition for progress on the political front, and with respect to a couple of other important things. So, to answer your question, I believe, under your watch, and please correct me if you think I'm wrong, Christoph, I think this was an important meeting. I think Geir Pedersen, over the last month, I believe he started 4 months ago, if I'm not mistaken, has achieved already a lot behind the scene, which I believe was wise from him, interesting. And now is the time for the Security Council, as I said, to leave our autopilot, to find some convergences, and to find the way to a true, credible political process. Now is the time, and now is possible, it seems to us.
Ambassador, you said that this is not going to be a one-time, that jumelage, one-time event, one-month event. How do you want this kind of Franco-German cooperation to go through across the UN organs? And to be honest, and also in the spirit of transparency, today, even the last day of this too, you have differences on Western Sahara and other issues previously. Can you explain to us what's going on in this regard?
Well, first of all, we cannot impose on others to do these kind of twin presidencies. Germany and France will, even beyond now the month of April, continue to work closely together. We will work together also within the EU caucus. You know here that on important issues, Germany and France is joined by others, and we join others to have common EU stakeouts. There will be election of new members of the Security Council. We have to see how the composition is next year, and we'll see if we repeat it next year again, German-French presidencies. What does this not mean? This does not mean, also in the European Union, there are not on all files, on all items, Germany and France have identical views, and there are occasions where we differ. But the one issue that has been always the case between Germany and France in the past, when we have these differences, we discuss them, we look for common solutions, and as the development of the European Union has demonstrated over the years, we do find these common solutions. So we do the same thing here in New York.
Ambassadors, apropos of the question of your joint presidencies, I was wondering, we know, of course, that the observers have all kinds of proposals for expanding or limiting the Security Council. I was just wondering, apropos of your twin presidencies, I mean, you've alluded to it, but do you think it lends fuel to the fire for those who believe that there should only be one EU seat, thus, with two Europeans working together on the Council?
Well, on this, you have to look at the UN Charter. The UN Charter has seats for individual states, not for organizations. And what we are working for is to speak as often as that is possible with one voice, and to have several members in the Security Council, several members of the European Union speaking with one voice makes the argument even stronger.
No, if I may, I completely agree with Christoph, and I would only add that in terms of policy, France and under your watch, Germany, have strong policy, which is to work together to enlarge the Security Council and to succeed in terms of the negotiations that should lead to the enlargement of the Security Council, that we consider absolutely needed to better reflect the world as it is. There is no question about it. And in this respect, as you know, and here I speak for France, we consider that Germany, Japan, India, Brazil, and a fair representation of Africa, in particular, are absolutely needed at the table in order to get toward a fairer representation of the Security Council. So just so that you consider that this is for us, and under your watch for Germany, a matter of priority. And to speak a bit more broadly, I would say that when we, Germany and France, together launched this alliance for multilateralism, it means a lot. It means that we strongly believe in the UN as the core of today's global governance. It means that we strongly believe in multilateralism more broadly, but it also means that we are actively working to reform, in some respect to refound, to reinvent multilateralism so that it's really efficient for the decades to come. And in our views, again, to repeat what I said, the enlargement of the Security Council with the addition of a few key members, and among them Germany, of course, is one of our strategic priorities.
Okay, thank you.
Ambassador, I just wanted to ask if this sandwich you introduced in Security Council, which Russian ambassador liked so much, if you are ready to give it to the next president of Security Council, and it will be still used.
Yes, this is the first time that I hear that the Russian ambassador loves this Our Watch. I will tell him that this is in the Russian media, and I'm very grateful for your view and his view on the Our Watch. No, we have offered it to our Indonesian colleagues, and it is for them to decide. So I didn't give any recommendation, it's for them to decide. What I did ask, and the request I had for them to consider was, despite the opposition of your cameramans, is that the Indonesia keeps the curtains open, because I think all are convinced, and our teams are convinced, this brought daylight, more transparency into the council. Okay, thank you.
Merci, mon ami.